My husband gave another woman a diamond necklace at our anniversary party, then handed me the bill in front of everyone we knew. The room laughed because they thought I would smile, pay, and protect his pride the way I always had. Instead, I took off my wedding ring, placed it on top of the invoice, and asked the waiter for a copy of the receipt. Adrian Vale looked at me as if I had misunderstood the scene. He was the one who had misunderstood the marriage. By morning, his card was declined. The first thing I noticed was not the necklace, it was Adrian's hand. He had always been careful with his hands in public. Warm palm at my lower back, 2 fingers over mine at dinner, a soft touch to my elbow when he wanted to guide me away from conversations that got too honest. His hands told people we were polished, intimate, safe. That night, under the amber lights of the Atlas Club ballroom, his hand rested at the back of Serena Blythe's neck, not on mine, hers. The gesture was small enough to dismiss if I wanted to. Hate myself later, a husband helping a woman with a clasp, a host adjusting a gift, a man caught in the harmless theater of a party, but the skin at the back of my own neck prickled, because bodies often understand betrayal before the mind finishes bargaining. It was our 7th wedding anniversary. I had planned every detail, not because I was desperate to impress people. That was what Adrian would later say. Clara gets anxious when things don't look perfect. Clara can't relax unless she controls the table settings. Clara makes everything about optics. The truth was simpler. I planned the party because I still believed in ceremonies. A ceremony could gather the loose threads of a tired marriage and tie them into something visible. A candle at dinner could say, "We are still here." White roses on a long table could say, "Remember what we promised." A quiet jazz trio under the balcony could say, "Some things are worth tending." I had chosen the Atlas Club because it was where Adrian proposed. I had chosen the menu because it included the lemon sole he ordered on our first date. I had even arranged for a small display of photographs near the entrance. Us in the rain outside City Hall, us painting our first apartment, us standing in the empty dining room of the restaurant he swore would change our lives. I left out the photographs of me signing loan documents. I left out the invoices. I left out the years when Valiant Vine survived because my credit was cleaner than his ambition. At 8:30 the champagne had been poured. 70 guests sat around polished tables. Adrian's mother, Evelyn, occupied the seat of honor in silver silk. His brother laughed too loudly near the bar. Investors, chefs, lifestyle writers, family friends, and people who loved being close to expensive rooms all watched my husband take the microphone. I stood beside him in a navy dress I had bought 3 years earlier and altered myself because every time I almost bought something new, another supplier bill arrived. Adrian looked beautiful. That was one of the cruelties of him. He could look like a promise even when he was becoming a warning. Tall, dark-haired, easy smile, sleeves tailored perfectly, voice warm enough to make strangers feel selected. "My Clara," he said, lifting his glass toward me. The room turned. I smiled. My cheeks felt stiff, but no one would know. I had learned how to be graceful under pressure. Grace had been my unpaid job for 7 years. 7 years, he continued. 7 years of partnership, patience, and building something bigger than ourselves. Applause rose. I waited for him to take my hand. He did not. His gaze moved across the ballroom and landed on Serena. She sat 2 tables away in a champagne-colored dress that looked poured over her body. Her hair was pinned low, exposing her throat. She lifted her eyes as if she had not expected to be included, though every line of her posture said she had rehearsed being seen. Adrian smiled at her. "And this year," he said, "I also learned that inspiration can arrive when you least expect it. Sometimes one person believes in your dream so purely that she reminds you who you were before fear made you practical." A small murmur moved through the room. I kept smiling. Practical, that was what he called me when I asked about payroll. Practical was what I became after he spent $6,000 on imported marble menu holders while rent was late. Practical was what he called me when I moved money from my grandmother's trust distribution to cover his vendor deposits. Practical meant unromantic, unsoft, useful. Serena lowered her lashes. Adrian reached into his jacket pocket and took out a long black velvet box. My stomach tightened, not because I wanted jewelry. I did not. I had never needed Adrian to prove love with diamonds. But the room thought it knew what was coming. I saw Evelyn touch her pearls. I saw Theo Harris, the Atlas Club manager, pause near the service door with a faint smile. I saw Adrian's college friend lift his phone to record the husband at An anniversary party, the velvet box, the wife standing beside him. The story was already written in their faces. Then Adrian walked away from me. He stepped down from the small platform and crossed the ballroom to Serena's table. The applause faltered, confused but still polite. People will keep clapping through almost anything if the lighting is elegant enough. Serena put a hand to her chest. Adrian, no. Her voice carried. He opened the box. The diamond necklace inside caught every candle in the room and shattered the light into sharp white sparks. It was not delicate, it was a statement piece. Graduated diamonds set in platinum. The kind of necklace that belonged behind glass, on insured throats, in photographs captioned legacy. I knew jewelry well enough to estimate the cost. 6 figures easily. Adrian lifted it from the velvet. To Serena, he said, for reminding me that art needs courage. The silence that followed was not complete. It had layers, a fork set down, a chair creaked, someone whispered my name and then stopped. I stood on the platform with my champagne untouched in my hand. Adrian moved behind Serena and placed the necklace around her throat. His fingers brushed her skin, slowly, tenderly, not like a man completing a public gesture, like a man touching something he thought was his. Serena closed her eyes. When the clasp clicked, she opened them and looked directly at me. Clara, she said softly, you've always been so practical. I hope you understand what this means to him. The sentence was a blade wrapped in velvet. A few people laughed awkwardly, desperate to turn cruelty into charm. Adrian returned to the platform. He kissed my cheek. It was dry and quick, a stamp on a document. You're incredible, he murmured near my ear. Don't make this weird. Then he reached into his inner pocket and pulled out a folded invoice. He placed it in my hand. Can you settle this before dessert? He asked quietly. Jonah needs the authorization tonight. I used the reserve card, but they want your signature. Because it's linked to your account. I looked down. Diamond row fine jewelry, custom diamond necklace, total $182,640.00, deposit authorized, balance due upon delivery, primary account holder, Clara Bellamyvale. My vision narrowed, not from shock, from a sudden clean focus. The room waited for me to do what I always did, smile, smooth, pay, protect. Adrian's fingers squeezed my wrist under the invoice. Clara, he whispered, later. I looked at his hand, then I looked at Serena, who was touching the diamonds at her throat like she had been crowned. I set my champagne glass on the nearest table. The sound was small. I took off my wedding ring. It resisted at the knuckle for half a second. My hand had changed since he put it there 7 years earlier. I had washed dishes in that ring, signed checks in it, slept with it pressed to my cheek after fights, twisted it during bank meetings, hidden it in my palm when I needed to remember I had chosen this life. Now I worked it free. I placed it on top of the invoice. The diamond in my ring looked almost modest against the printed number beneath it. Please make me a copy of this receipt, I said to Theo, who stood near the service door, frozen. Adrian's smile disappeared. Clara, he said, still low, what are you doing? I picked up my clutch. What you asked, I said, handling the bill. Then I stepped off the platform. No one stopped me, not Evelyn, whose lips had gone thin with outrage, not Serena, whose hand had finally dropped from the necklace, not Adrian, who looked at me as if I had broken a script he never thought I knew existed. At the ballroom doors, Theo caught up with me. Mrs. Vale, he said quietly, the receipt copy. His face was pale. He had seen enough luxury disasters to know when a room had crossed from gossip into liability. Thank you, I said. He hesitated. Do you need anything else? I looked back once. Adrian was still on the platform. Serena was standing now, diamonds blazing at her throat. Guests were pretending not to stare while staring with their whole bodies. Yes, I said, preserve the security footage from tonight. Theo's eyes sharpened. For what time frame? From the toast until I leave the building. He nodded once. Understood. I walked through the hallway lined with old portraits of men who had probably handed women bills for centuries and called it tradition. In the ladies' room, I locked myself in the farthest stall and opened my banking app. There it was, pending authorization, diamond row fine jewelry, $45,000 deposit, card ending 0097, authorized user, Adrian Vale. My husband had given another woman diamonds with my credit. I took a screenshot, then another, then I called the number on the back of the reserve card. The bank placed me on hold for 11 minutes. I remember the music, a soft piano loop designed to soothe people with money. It played while I stood in an Atlas Club bathroom with my ring off, my marriage humming somewhere behind a closed door and a diamond necklace hanging around Serena Blythe's throat on my account. When the private client representative finally answered, she sounded alert in the careful way of people trained to recognize emergency beneath politeness. Bellamy Reserve Services, this is Leanne. May I confirm I'm speaking with Clara Bellamavale? Yes, I gave the security phrase my grandmother had chosen 20 years ago when she opened the account. Orchard Light, Leanne confirmed my identity. How can I assist you tonight, Ms. Bellamavale? Not Mrs. Vale, Ms. Bellamavale. The distinction steadied me. I need to suspend all authorized user privileges connected to Adrian Vale effective immediately. I said, all cards, all digital wallet access, all pending secondary authorizations. I also need to dispute a pending jewelry charge placed through an authorized user without my consent as primary account holder. Leanne paused for only half a beat. I can help you begin that process. Are you safe? That question almost broke me. Not, is your husband nearby? Not, is this a misunderstanding? Not, are you sure you want to do this during a party? Are you safe? I looked at myself in the mirror above the marble sinks. My lipstick was perfect, my eyes were dry, the necklace's reflected light did not reach this room, but humiliation had followed me in any way. Yes, I said, for now, then we will secure the account first. Secure, not punish, not overreact. Secure. I listened as Leanne explained the steps: authorized user suspension, digital wallet removal, merchant alerts, review of pending luxury purchases, temporary freeze on additional high-value transactions until primary approval, written confirmation to my secure email, a separate fraud and misuse affidavit if I wanted to challenge the jewelry charge. I want the affidavit. Understood. My phone buzzed against my ear. Adrian. I ignored it. Another buzz. Adrian. Where did you go, Adrian? Do not embarrass me over a branding gesture, Adrian. Serena is crying. Adrian, come back now. Serena was crying. Of course she was. Women like Serena knew the value of tears in public. I had spent years avoiding mine. Because Adrian said they made him feel cornered, Serena spent hers like currency. Leanne continued. The freeze can be initiated now. Some systems may update overnight. Physical cards may decline as early as morning depending on merchant processing. By morning is fine. I said. The words came out calm. By morning, Adrian could have one more night inside the illusion he built with my name. Let him sleep beside his pride. Let him wake up and meet the price. Do you also want to remove Mr. Vale from account notifications? No, I said, not yet. May I ask why? I want him to see the decline. A silence. Then Leanne said professionally, understood. After the call, I washed my hands though they were not dirty. On the counter, someone had left a gold lipstick tube, Serena's shade. She had reapplied before receiving my necklace. I looked at it for a moment, then left it there. Not every object needed to become evidence. Some things could remain trash. Mara Keen answered my text before I reached the lobby. Me. I need a divorce attorney tonight if possible. Mara. Are you hurt me publicly, financially, legally, not physically? Mara, send documents. Do not sign anything. Do not discuss terms with him. Preserve everything. Mara had handled the trust review after my grandmother died. She was not warm, but she was precise, and that night precision felt better than comfort. In the coatroom I collected my wrap. The attendant avoided my eyes. Gossip had already traveled. It always moved faster than truth. Adrian intercepted me near the front doors. His face was tight, his voice low. Are you out of your mind? No, you took off your ring in front of my investors. You gave Serena a diamond necklace in front of your wife. It was symbolic, it was billed. His jaw flexed. This is exactly what I mean. You reduce everything to money. I looked at him, really looked. 7 years of loving him had taught me the map of his face. I knew the small white scar near his eyebrow from a childhood fall. I knew the shadow under his eyes when he worked too late. I knew the smile he used when he wanted investors to think they were smarter than they were. Tonight I saw the expression beneath them all: fear, not fear of losing me, fear of being exposed. You handed me the bill, I said. Don't complain because I read it. He glanced over his shoulder. People lingered in the corridor, pretending to admire old paintings. Serena stood near the ballroom entrance with Evelyn's arm around her shoulders. The necklace burned against her skin. Come back inside, Adrian said. We'll talk at home. I'm not going home with you. His eyes flashed. Don't be dramatic. I almost smiled. Dramatic was buying another woman diamonds at your anniversary party. Dramatic was asking your wife to pay for them before dessert. Dramatic was making betrayal sparkle so guests would hesitate to name it. Leaving was simple. I'll be at the Orchard House tonight. I said, our guests are still here. Then go host them. You are my wife. I was also your account holder. You seem clearer about the second role. His hand shot out and closed around my wrist, not hard, not enough to bruise. Enough to remind me he still believed he could steer me. I looked down at his fingers. Theo appeared from nowhere. Mrs. Vale, your car is ready. Adrian released me. I had not ordered a car. Theo met my eyes. Sometimes witnesses choose sides quietly. Thank you, I said. Adrian whispered, if you walk out tonight, do not expect me to chase you. There it was, the old threat dressed as dignity. He had used it in smaller forms for years. If you make this a fight, I'm sleeping at the restaurant. If you embarrass me, I won't come home. If you can't trust me, maybe we need space. The threat had worked because I feared absence. Tonight, absence looked like air. I'm not asking you to chase me, I said. I'm asking you to remember where your money comes from. His face changed. I walked out before he could answer. In the back seat of the car Theo had arranged, I opened the receipt copy. Under the item description was the necklace serial number, the deposit, the balance, the insurance option, and the note, deliver to A. Vale. At Atlas Club event. Below that, in smaller print, primary billing authorization required from Clara Bellamavale. He had not even forged me. He had assumed that was the whole marriage in one line. By the time the car reached the Orchard House, Mara had already sent a checklist. Preserve invoice, screenshot charge, screenshot texts, send bank confirmation, do not communicate except in writing, locate prenup, locate operating agreements, review personal guarantees, change passwords, sleep if possible. I laughed. Once at the last item, the Orchard House stood at the edge of an old apple orchard 40 minutes outside the city. My grandmother had run it as a private supper club for artists, judges, widows with secrets, and men who thought they were charming until she corrected them. I had renovated it into a small event venue after her death. Adrian called it quaint when we married. Later, when his restaurant needed credibility, he called it ours. It was not ours. Inside, the house smelled of beeswax, old wood, and the rosemary bread our caretaker baked on Fridays. I locked the door behind me, set the invoice on the kitchen table, and placed my wedding ring beside it. Then I changed every password I could remember. Banking, email, cloud storage, vendor portals, house account, restaurant payroll approval, shared calendar, wine cellar access. At 2:14 a.m. the bank confirmation arrived. Authorized user privileges suspended, digital card access terminated, pending transactions under review. All further charges require primary holder approval. I read it twice. Then I opened the shared expense dashboard. Adrian never checked because I handled the boring part. For 7 years, I had treated numbers like problems to solve. That night, they became witnesses. Adrian's card declined at 8:07 the next morning. I know because the first notification came while I was standing barefoot in the Orchard House kitchen waiting for coffee to brew. Declined transaction attempt. The Sterling Hotel, $612.48, card ending 0097, authorized user suspended. I stared at the message. The Sterling Hotel, not home, not the Atlas Club. The hotel 3 blocks from the ballroom, famous for its rooftop suites and discreet elevators. A second notification followed. Declined transaction attempt. The Sterling Hotel Restaurant, $184.20. Breakfast. I pictured it too clearly. Adrian in yesterday's shirt ordering espresso and smoked salmon as if the world still recognized him. Serena across from him, diamonds maybe tucked under her blouse now, maybe still glowing. Because women like her understood that trophies should remain visible until payment failed. Then the third notification, declined transaction attempt, Sterling Valet, $48.00. I set my coffee down and laughed. It was not a happy sound, it was sharp, startled, almost ugly. For years, I had feared the moment Adrian would be humiliated. I had worked around it like a woman carrying water around a candle. I paid deposits before vendors called. I smoothed over late transfers. I moved money from one account to another at midnight so he could walk into rooms as if success were effortless. The candle had finally gone out. My phone rang. Adrian. I let it ring. A text appeared. Adrian, What did you do? Then another, Adrian, my card isn't working. Adrian, Clara, answer me. Adrian, this is not funny. Adrian, Serena is sitting here while the waiter keeps coming back. Adrian, fix it, fix it. I opened my laptop. The dashboard showed 3 more attempted charges: ride service, boutique florist, diamond row, fine jewelry. The last one was $4,137,640 the balance, so he had gone to the jeweler after breakfast, or tried to finalize payment by phone. Either way, the card met the boundary before he did. I typed one reply, me, I removed what was mine. He called again. This time, I answered and put him on speaker while opening a new spreadsheet. His voice came through low and furious. You suspended the card. Yes, you had no right to do that without telling me. It is my account. I am your husband. You are my authorized user. Silence. The distinction landed. You're going to ruin me over a necklace? He asked. No, I'm going to stop funding the version of you that thought giving her a necklace with my money was acceptable. It was not your money, it was our household line. The primary holder is me, the collateral account is mine, the trust distribution backing the line is mine, the signature required for high-value charges is mine. You never cared before. That sentence told me he was still in the wrong story. I cared. Every time, I said, I just paid anyway. Behind him I heard Serena's voice. Is she really doing this now? Adrian covered the phone badly. Give me a minute, Serena said louder. Tell her she can't weaponize money because she's jealous. I looked at the spreadsheet, at the rows of payments with her name hidden in vendor descriptions. I'm not jealous of a woman wearing stolen diamonds, I said. Adrian snapped back. Do not call her a thief, then return the necklace. Another silence. This one included Serena. Adrian lowered his voice. We can discuss the necklace privately. No, the necklace became public when you put it around her throat at our anniversary party. You embarrassed me. You handed me a bill for my own humiliation. You always said you wanted to support my vision. I did, until your vision needed a mistress in diamonds. He inhaled sharply. She is not my mistress. Then she won't mind giving back the necklace. Serena said something I could not hear. Adrian returned, colder now. You need to come to your senses. My mother is expecting us for brunch. Your mother can expect whatever she likes. Clara, no, you're not going to punish my family. I'm going to stop paying them. The words hung between us. What does that mean? He asked. It means I reviewed the automatic transfers this morning, your mother's townhouse maintenance, your brother's club dues, the lake house taxes, the wine subscription Evelyn told me was a medical expense because red wine is good for circulation. His breathing changed. You can't just cut off family obligations. They are not my family obligations. You agreed to help. I agreed to help when I believed I was building a marriage. I did not agree to be the silent bank behind a public affair. You are making yourself sound like a victim. I am making myself sound like the person whose name is on the bill. I ended the call. My hands were shaking now, not from fear, from adrenaline, from the strange physical labor of telling the truth after years of swallowing it. I pressed my palms to the wooden table and breathed until the orchard outside stopped blurring. Mara called at 9. I assume he noticed. He noticed breakfast first. Good. Again that word. People used it oddly in disasters. Good meant the lock held. Good meant the boundary worked. Good meant the person who had taken without asking had finally reached a closed door. Mara walked me through the next steps. We would prepare notice of separation. We would review the prenup. We would notify the bank of potential marital misuse. We would request preservation of Atlas Club footage. We would contact Diamond Row about ownership, insurance, and delivery conditions. And Clara, she said, do not let him turn this into a conversation about jealousy. It's not jealousy. I know it's financial abuse wearing romance cologne. That sentence sat with me long after we hung up. At 10:30, Adrian arrived at the orchard house. I saw his car from the upstairs window. He drove too fast on the gravel road, dust rising behind him. He got out without a jacket. Phone in hand, hair less perfect than usual. He knocked once, then tried the door, locked. He looked up at the window. Clara, I opened the window. You changed the code, he said. Yes, this is insane. You keep saying that word, because sane people don't freeze their husband's card overnight. Sane husbands don't buy another woman diamonds on their wife's account. His face flushed. Let me in. No, we need to talk. We are talking, not through a window like I'm a delivery driver. That almost made me smile. Delivery drivers pay their own invoices. He looked toward the orchard, then back at me. Serena is humiliated. She should take off the necklace. She says she won't be bullied. Then she can be sued. His expression flickered. There it was again, fear, not remorse yet fear. You wouldn't. You handed me the bill, Adrian. His mouth tightened. You know I can't cover that balance today. I know. You know the restaurant account is stretched. I know. You know the investors are watching. I know. Then why are you doing this? For a moment I saw him not as the elegant man in the ballroom but as a boy standing in front of a locked door, astonished that charm had stopped working. Because last night you showed me exactly what my silence buys. I said, I don't like the purchase. He looked down. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. I made a mistake. No, a mistake is ordering the wrong wine. You planned a speech, bought a necklace, dressed her in symbolism, and handed me the invoice. It was business. Then expense it to the business. He said nothing because we both knew the business had no room left for diamonds. Behind him, another car pulled up. Evelyn Vale stepped out wearing cream linen and fury. Excellent, the family brunch had come to me. Evelyn Vale did not walk up the orchard house path, she advanced. There was a difference. Walking suggests movement, advancing suggests conquest. She held her handbag in the crook of her arm like a weapon and wore the expression of a woman prepared to be obeyed because no one had disappointed her successfully in decades. Open this door, Clara, she called. I closed the upstairs window and went down slowly, not because I wanted to let them in, because I wanted witnesses contained where I could see them. I opened the front door but left the chain on. Evelyn looked at the chain as if I had slapped her. How vulgar, she said. Good morning, Evelyn. Do not good morning me. My son's card was declined at breakfast, so. I heard. Adrian stood behind her, jaw tight. Can we not do this through a chained door? No. Evelyn leaned closer. Do you understand what people are saying? Probably less than they should. You humiliated him. I looked at Adrian. He seems consistent with that theme. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. You are angry, fine. Women get angry, but you do not attack a man's financial standing in public. He attacked my dignity in public. That necklace was a professional gesture. Then why did he give it? At our anniversary party, Evelyn paused, not because she had no answer, because she had too many bad ones. Adrian said, Mother, let me handle this. You clearly cannot, she snapped, then back to me. Clara, open the door, we will sit down like family. Family doesn't require a chain to feel safe. His face changed at that. Evelyn's did not. Do not dramatize, she said. Adrian has always provided you with a beautiful life. The laugh escaped before I could stop it. Adrian flinched. Evelyn looked offended. What is funny? I unhooked the chain. Come in, I said. I'll show you. The Orchard House dining room had hosted judges, violinists, widows, and once a governor who spilled soup on himself and begged my grandmother not to tell the papers. That morning it hosted the beginning of the Vale family audit. I seated Evelyn at the long oak table. Adrian remained standing, wary now. I brought out 3 binders, Household, Vale Family, Valley and Vine. Evelyn stared at them. What are those? What you called a beautiful life. I opened the first binder. Mortgage overages on the townhouse renovation you said Adrian insisted on. Paid by me. Lake House property taxes. Paid by me. Emergency roof repair after Niles forgot to winterize. Paid by me. Niles was Adrian's younger brother. A charming disaster who believed employment was a violation of his creative process. Evelyn's mouth tightened. Those were family matters, not my family's property. I turned pages. Your private driver during your hip recovery, your club dues. For 2 years after Adrian's account overdrafted. The imported tiles for your powder room, the florist for your birthday luncheon, the wine cellar restock you listed as hospitality expense. Adrian said, Clara, stop. I did not. I opened the second binder. Valley and Vine vendor deposits, emergency payroll, linen service, replacement stemware after Adrian hosted a tasting he forgot to insure, PR consultant, crisis photographer, Serena's first brand shoot. Evelyn's eyes lifted. Serena, yes, her hotel during the menu campaign, her stylist, her hair and makeup. 2 flights to Napa. 1 invoice labeled Creative Intimacy Retreat, which is a phrase I hope never to read again. Adrian rubbed his forehead. Those were promotional costs. Then the business should have paid them. It was temporary. So was my patience. Evelyn's face had gone pale beneath her powder. Adrian, is this accurate? He did not answer. That was answer enough. But Evelyn was not ready to surrender. Women like her did not abandon denial, they redecorated it. Every family has arrangements. She said, you had access to the Vale name, the invitations, the circles. Do not pretend you gained nothing. I looked around the dining room my grandmother owned before Evelyn ever learned my name. The Vale name got me invoices. I said, my name paid them. Adrian finally sat down. He looked smaller in the morning light, less like a husband, more like a man who had misplaced a costume. Clara, he said quietly, I know it looks bad laid out like this. It looks accurate. I was going to fix it. When? He had no answer. Evelyn clasped her hands. This cannot leave the family. It already left when Adrian made it a ballroom performance. That was poor judgment. Ending a marriage over one poor judgment is childish. I closed the binder. This marriage is not ending over one necklace. The necklace is just the first bill I refused to pay. For the first time Evelyn looked at me with something like fear. What do you want? She asked. I want Adrian's charges separated from my accounts. I want repayment. For unauthorized personal expenses. I want Serena to return the necklace pending ownership review. I want your family to stop using my credit, my venue, my staff, and my silence. You speak as if we used you. I held up the Vale family binder. You did. Adrian's phone rang. He looked at the screen and swore under his breath. Diamond Row. I asked. He did not answer. I did not need him to. He stepped into the hallway to take the call. Evelyn watched him go, then turned back to me. Do you know what you are doing to him? That question might have worked on me once. It had shape-shifted through the years. Do you know how stressed he is? Do you know how hard he works? Do you know how much pressure he carries? Do you know how men like Adrian need women who believe in them? This time, I answered the question she did not ask. I know what I am doing for myself. Her eyes hardened. He will hate you. Maybe. That doesn't scare you. It used to. Adrian returned, face ashen. What did Jonah say? I asked. His voice was flat. They want the necklace returned until payment clears. Evelyn inhaled sharply. And Serena? I asked. He looked at the floor. She says it was a gift. I smiled slightly. Then she can explain why my name is on the bill. Diamond Row fine jewelry did not look like a place where people made mistakes. It looked like a place where mistakes were insured. The showroom sat behind a discreet black door on Alder Avenue with no window display and a buzzer that made customers feel chosen before they were admitted. Inside, the air smelled faintly of white tea and money. Glass cases glowed under museum lighting. Every necklace, ring, and bracelet rested on velvet as if awaiting a coronation. Jonah Price met us near the bridal salon. He was in his 50s, silver-haired, immaculate, and deeply uncomfortable. Mrs. Vale, he said. Ms. Bellamivale. Mara corrected. Jonah blinked once. Of course, Ms. Bellamivale. Mara stood beside me with a leather folder. She had the gift of making silence feel expensive. Jonah led us to a private consultation room. On the table sat a file, a tablet, and a small tray of bottled water nobody touched. I want the full purchase record for the diamond necklace delivered to the Atlas Club last night, I said, including authorization notes, delivery instructions, insurance forms, and any communication with Adrian Vale or Serena Blythe. Jonah folded his hands. As you know, Mr. Vale arranged the selection. I know he selected it. I want to know who bought it. His face tightened. Mara opened the folder. Mr. Price, the primary billing account is my client's. The deposit was charged through an authorized user whose privileges have since been suspended. The balance is unpaid. The item is currently in the possession of a third party. We are clarifying ownership before this becomes uglier than it needs to be. Jonah's eyes moved to me. I did not rescue him from discomfort. He opened the file. Mr. Vale visited the showroom 3 weeks ago with Ms. Blythe. 3 weeks, something cold slid into place inside me. 3 weeks ago, Adrian had told me he was meeting a seafood supplier. He selected several pieces. Jonah continued. Ms. Blythe preferred the platinum graduated diamond necklace. Mr. Vale requested immediate delivery for a private event. Did he say the event was his wedding anniversary? I asked. Jonah looked down. Yes. Mara's pen moved across her notebook. Did that concern you? I asked. He hesitated. It was unusual, he said. Unusual enough to stop. No. Why? Mr. Vale indicated you were aware of the gesture. I almost laughed. There it was again, the most expensive sentence in my marriage. Clara knows, Clara understands, Clara will handle it. Did you speak to me? I asked. No. Did I sign anything? No, the deposit was allowed because Mr. Vale was an authorized user and the account had sufficient history. The balance required primary approval, which is why he handed me the bill in public. Jonah said nothing. Mara slid a printed screenshot across the table. We also need to discuss the insurance form. Jonah went still. I looked at Mara. She had not shown me that yet. She tapped the page. Insurance application item diamond necklace. Insured party Clara Bellamy Vale. Intended wearer Serena Blythe for promotional event use. My name, her throat. I felt my pulse in my wrists. Promotional event use. I repeated. Jonah removed his glasses. Mr. Vale said the piece would be used in a brand campaign tied to Valiant Vine's anniversary dinner series. He said you managed insurance matters. I manage them when they are mine. Mara's voice was ice. Did Ms. Blythe sign anything acknowledging temporary possession? No. Did Mr. Vale? Yes. Jonah produced a document. Adrian's signature leaned across the bottom. Recipient acknowledges item remains subject to final payment and ownership confirmation. He had signed that, then he let Serena stand in a ballroom and call it a gift. Mara requested copies. Jonah provided them. As we stood to leave, the showroom door opened. Serena walked in. She wore oversized sunglasses, a camel coat and the diamond necklace over a black turtleneck. For a moment, no one moved. Jonah looked as if he might faint. Serena removed her sunglasses slowly. Clara, of course you're here. I looked at the necklace in daylight away from the candles and applause. It looked less romantic, colder, almost vulgar. That belongs in the store vault, I said. Her hand rose to the diamonds. It was given to me. It was not paid for. That is between you and Adrian. My account is on the invoice. That makes it between you and me. Her smile sharpened. You can't take back a gift because your husband finally appreciated another woman. Mara stepped forward. Ms. Blythe, you are in possession of an unpaid luxury item tied to my client's account and subject to ownership dispute. I advise you not to leave with it. Serena laughed. Are you threatening me? No, Mara said. I am documenting you. That unsettled her. Jonah cleared his throat. Ms. Blythe, given the payment issue, Diamond Row requests that the necklace be returned to our custody until the matter is resolved. Serena turned on him. Adrian said it was mine. Mr. Vale has not completed payment. Her face flushed. The room's softness vanished. Without candlelight and an audience, her fragility did not know where to stand. She looked at me. This is pathetic. You're rich enough to pay for it. You're just angry he wanted me to have something beautiful. I thought of all the times I had chosen the cheaper flowers for my own table because Adrian needed a better wine list, all the dresses I did not buy, all the vacations we postponed, all the quiet adjustments that made room for his beautiful things. You are wearing the most honest object in my marriage, I said. Something he wanted, something I was expected to fund, something you thought you could keep because I would be too embarrassed to ask for it back. Her mouth tightened. Slowly she unclasped the necklace. For one foolish second relief flickered, then she dropped it on the table hard enough to make Jonah gasp. There, she said, enjoy your little victory. I looked at the diamonds lying under the white lights. This isn't victory, I said, it's inventory. Serena's eyes flashed. He'll resent you for this. I picked up my folder. He can put it on a declined card. My office at Bellamy Table was above a bakery that made the whole building smell like butter by dawn. I used to love that smell. It reminded me of beginnings, fresh dough, hot sugar, coffee poured into chipped mugs while I arranged budgets and place cards and emergency seating charts. Before Adrian's restaurant swallowed my life, Bellamy Table was small, profitable, and mine. We designed private dinners, intimate weddings, family reunions, and memorial meals where the flowers mattered because grief needed somewhere to rest its eyes. After Valiant Vine began failing quietly, my office became a triage center for his ambitions. That week it became an evidence room. Nadia Bellamy arrived at 9 with a box of colored tabs, 2 coffees, and the expression she used when she wanted to commit a felony but had decided spreadsheets were safer. Nadia was my cousin, my part-time operations manager, and the only person in my family who never liked Adrian but tried to love him because I did. She placed the coffees on my desk. I brought cinnamon rolls. I can't eat. Then you can stare at one while we ruin him legally. I laughed despite myself. She smiled. There she is. We started with the house account. That was what Adrian called it, the house account, a phrase that sounded domestic and mutual. In reality, it was a business operating account tied to Bellamy Table and the Orchard House, used for approved event expenses. Over the years, Adrian had blurred the boundaries, a florist here, a wine shipment there, a photographer who worked for both brands, a stylist who was necessary for investor perception. I had allowed it because I trusted him. No, that was too kind. I had allowed it because questioning him always led to a performance of hurt. You don't believe in me, you make me feel like a child. Other wives would be proud. Serena says creative risk requires trust. Serena, her name began appearing in the records 8 months earlier. At first, indirectly, SB Consulting, Brand Refresh Deposit, Blythe Media Strategy, Content Advance, The Sterling Hotel, Influencer Accommodation, Lumiere Styling, Campaign Wardrobe, Private Car, Client Transport, Diamond Row, Deposit. Then more brazenly, Serena Blythe, Reimbursement, Dinner Series. Development, Serena Blythe, Travel, Napa Inspiration Visit, Serena Blythe, Wellness Collaboration Retainer. Nadia stuck a red tab on each page. By noon the wall looked wounded. Clara, she said quietly. I knew what she was seeing, not one affair expense, not one reckless gift, a pattern. A second life subsidized by the first wife. I need totals, I said. You need food, I need totals first. She gave me a cinnamon roll wrapped in a napkin and refused to continue until I took a bite. At 1 Adrian arrived. He did not knock. He still had a key to the street door, though not for long. He came up the stairs fast, then stopped at the sight of the wall. Invoices, screenshots, texts, bank alerts, vendor emails, red tabs under Serena's name like blood drops. His face went slack. What is this? He asked. My morning. Nadia leaned against the filing cabinet. Afternoon now. He ignored her. You printed private business records. They are my records. They involve my company. They involve my money. He stepped closer to the wall and saw Serena's name again and again. Some part of him had believed, I think, that betrayal stayed cleaner if it lived in feeling. A necklace, a speech, a hotel breakfast, messy, yes, but still explainable through emotion. He had not expected betrayal to have line items. Clara, he said softer, please don't do this. Do what? Turn everything ugly. I stared at him. The ugliness is not in the printing. His eyes closed. Nadia muttered. Finally, a sentence for a t-shirt. Adrian opened his eyes and looked at her. Can you give us a minute? No, I said. His jaw tightened. She's your cousin. This is our marriage. This is my business account. He came to the desk and lowered his voice anyway. I know I crossed a line. Which one? The question stopped him. I waited. His mouth tightened. The necklace. Which line before that? Clara, Serena's hotel, her stylist, her consulting retainer, the Napa trip, the Sterling suite, the private car, the insurance form, the fact that you told a jeweler I knew. Color rose in his face. I was trying to keep the brand alive. With her in diamonds, she connects with people. I connect with creditors. He flinched. Good. Do you know how it felt last night? He asked suddenly. Standing there after you left. I looked at him. People staring, investors whispering. My mother furious, Serena crying. You don't know what that was like. For a moment I could only marvel at him. Then I opened the top drawer and took out a printed photograph Theo had emailed that morning, a still from the ballroom footage, Adrian clasping the necklace around Serena's throat. Me standing alone on the platform with the invoice in my hand. I slid it across the desk. I know what people staring feels like. He looked at the image. His expression changed. Not enough, but something shifted. I didn't realize you looked like that, he said. That's because you weren't looking at me. The office went quiet except for the bakery mixer below us. Adrian sat down slowly. I thought you would understand, he said. No, you thought I would comply. He covered his face with both hands. I did not comfort him. That felt like progress. When he finally looked up, his voice had lost some of its Polish. What happens now? I've notified vendors that no charges are authorized without my written approval. Bellamy Table and the Orchard House are separated from Valiant Vine immediately. The house account is closed to your company. Mara is drafting divorce papers. He looked at me as if each sentence removed a flaw beneath him. Divorce, he said. Yes, you're moving fast. I'm catching up. He swallowed. And if I end things with Serena, I felt something in me go still. There it was, the offer he thought was payment. I'm not leaving because you chose Serena, I said. I'm leaving because you believed I would pay for the choice. His mouth opened then closed. Nadia's eyes softened behind him, but she stayed silent. She understood this was mine to say. Adrian stood. He looked at the wall again, at the rows of red tabs. I loved you, he said. I believed him. That was the tragedy. I know, I said. You just loved being funded more. Evelyn insisted on a family dinner. She did not invite me. She summoned me. Her message arrived printed on cream stationery by courier. Because Evelyn believed email was for employees and emergencies. Clara, this unpleasantness has gone far enough. We will dine at 7 on Thursday at the townhouse and discuss a dignified path forward. Adrian is prepared to apologize. You are expected to conduct yourself with discretion. Evelyn, I sent a photograph of the note to Mara. Mara replied, do you want to ignore it or attend with documents? I replied, documents. The Vale townhouse sat on a tree-lined street where the houses looked inherited even when they were mortgaged. Evelyn had redecorated it twice with money she said Adrian provided. I now knew better. The front hall chandelier had been paid from my account after she described it as important for family continuity. The custom dining chairs came from a vendor Adrian forgot to reimburse. The antique mirror over the sideboard was billed under Valiant Vine Ambience Consulting. I arrived at 7 with 2 bankers' boxes. Adrian opened the door. He looked tired, not dramatically destroyed, not yet, but worn at the edges. His charm required reflection to work, and lately every reflective surface had become evidence. You came, he said. You asked for dignity. I didn't write that note. I know. He glanced at the boxes. What are those? Discretion. His mouth tightened. In the dining room, Evelyn sat at the head of the table. Niles lounged near the bar, swirling whiskey he probably could not afford. His wife, Portia, gave me a nervous smile. Serena was there too. That surprised me less than it should have. She wore black and no necklace. The absence at her throat looked louder than the diamonds had. Evelyn noticed my glance. Serena is involved because you dragged her into this. I set the boxes beside my chair. Adrian dragged her in with a clasp. Niles snorted before catching Evelyn's glare. Dinner began terribly. Soup arrived. No 1-8. Evelyn spoke first. Clara, you have made your point. Adrian behaved insensitively. Serena accepted a gift that should perhaps have been handled differently. But you are escalating a private marital hurt into financial warfare. I looked down at the soup. Tomato basil, my recipe. I had given it to Evelyn after she claimed mine tasted more balanced than her cook's. Even the soup testified. This is not warfare, I said. This is accounting. Marriage is not accounting, Evelyn said. No, but exploitation leaves receipts. Adrian closed his eyes briefly. Serena leaned forward. You keep using that word because it makes you sound noble. But you liked being needed. Everyone knows that. You liked being the capable wife. You liked making him depend on you. I turned to her. That may be the first honest thing you've said. Her face flickered. Yes, I said. I liked being needed. I confused it with being loved. That was my mistake. Your mistake was confusing my shame with permission. Portia looked down at her plate. Evelyn said. Enough. No, I said. Not yet. I opened the first box. The sound of paper against the table carried through the room. This is the dinner ledger, I said. Niles frowned. The what? The cost of sitting at this table and pretending Adrian provides it. I handed one packet to Evelyn. Townhouse expenses paid by me or by accounts backed by me. Utilities during Adrian's cash crunch. Repairs, staff bonuses, your birthday luncheon, the garden consultant, the replacement silver. After Niles borrowed the original for a pop-up concept that never opened, Niles sat up. That was temporary. It has been 22 months. Portia covered her mouth. I handed another packet to Adrian. Valiant Vine obligations paid through Bellamy accounts, payroll advances, vendor deposits, investor dinner costs, legal fees after the liquor license issue, Serena's brand campaign. Serena's cheeks flushed. I handed her a thinner packet. Your expenses. She did not take it, so I placed it beside her. Soup, hotels, wardrobe, styling, travel, private car, consulting retainers, Diamond Row deposit, all tied to accounts I control. She pushed the packet away. Adrian approved those. Adrian approved spending money he did not have. He told me it was his. I looked at Adrian for once. He did not defend himself quickly enough. Evelyn stared at him. Adrian. He rubbed his forehead. The structure was complicated. I laughed. Niles said, "This is insane." "Yes," I said, "that's the family word for consequences." Evelyn's hand shook as she flipped pages. "You kept all of this." "I kept everything." "Why?" That question was almost innocent. Why would a woman document the cost of her own erasure? "Because part of me knew I might need proof one day," I said. Adrian looked up at that. Something like pain moved across his face. "Good. Let him feel it. Let him understand that my distrust had not appeared overnight. He had grown it invoice by invoice." Evelyn set the packet down. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing." That startled her more than any demand. "I want nothing from this family except repayment where legally required, separation where necessary, and silence where you are tempted to lie." Serena stood. "I don't have to sit here and be insulted by a woman whose husband chose me because she turned marriage into bookkeeping." I stood too. Adrian's head snapped up. "Sit down, Serena," he said. She froze. The command was not tender, it was not protective, it was panic. He had finally realized that every word she spoke cost him more. Serena looked at him. "Excuse me, sit down." I watched the romance fracture in real time. Serena did not sit. She picked up her bag. "You told me she would never actually leave," she said. The room went silent. Adrian's face went white. I looked at him. There it was, the core assumption, the foundation under every humiliation. "She would never actually leave," Evelyn whispered. "Adrian." Serena realized what she had done. Her mouth opened, but no repair came. I closed the box. "Thank you," I said. Adrian stood. "Clara." "No, that was the only answer I still needed." He followed me to the front hall. "Please," he said. I said that before I understood. I turned. "Before you understood what?" "That you were serious." I looked at the man I had loved. "You should have understood I was a person before I had to become serious." He had no answer. I walked out carrying the lighter box. The heavier one stayed on Evelyn's table. Some truths should be left where they can ruin dinner. Serena tried to turn humiliation into content. I should have expected that. People who live by audience rarely surrender a storyline just because facts object. 3 days after the family dinner, she posted a black and white video of herself sitting by a window, bare throat visible, eyes glossy. "I've learned," she said, voice trembling, "that some women will use money to punish other women for being loved. I won't speak on details because I believe in grace, but I will say this: gifts given from the heart should not become weapons." The video reached 40,000 views by lunch. By 2, lifestyle blogs had picked it up. By 4, someone tagged Valiant Vine. By 5, Adrian called me from a number I had not blocked yet. "She posted without telling me," he said immediately. I sat at my desk reviewing a cancellation notice from a linen vendor. "Why are you telling me?" "Because she's making it worse. For you. For everyone." "No, not for me. I have receipts." He went quiet, then softly, "She says you threatened her at Diamond Row." I asked for the unpaid item to be returned. "She says you humiliated her. She wore the necklace to the jeweler." "I know." His voice sounded strained, tired, almost sober. "I didn't know she was going to sell the story," he said. "What did you think she was going to sell?" He exhaled. "Fair point. Serena sold versions of herself for a living." Adrian had mistaken branding for devotion because it flattered him. That evening I went to a Valiant Vine campaign shoot at a rented loft near the river, not to argue, to revoke. The shoot was for the anniversary dinner series. 6 couples at candlelit tables, a chef plating sea bass, Serena in a satin slip dress, leaning over a table as if whispering to an invisible lover. The concept, according to the call sheet I had obtained because Bellamy Table was listed as venue partner, was intimacy as ritual. My grandmother would have haunted the place. When I arrived, Serena was under lights wearing the diamond necklace again, not the original. I realized, a loner, smaller but similar enough for the camera. Adrian stood near the monitors, arms crossed, face tense. He saw me and came over quickly. "You shouldn't be here. I own the tableware." "What?" I pointed to the long table. Bellamy Table inventory, Orchard House linens, my grandmother's silver candlesticks. "My account is listed as event partner." "None of that is authorized." His face changed. A production assistant approached. "Can I help you?" "Yes." I handed her the revocation packet. "This shoot is using Bellamy Table property, Orchard House brand references, and Clara Bellamavale's personal caregiving language without authorization. All use is revoked effective immediately. She stared at the packet. I need the producer, please. Serena saw me then, her expression hardened. She touched the necklace Lona, instinctively checking that it was there. Are you stalking me now? She called, every head turned. No, I said, I'm collecting my candlesticks. Someone laughed then stopped. Adrian whispered, Clara, not here, you keep choosing public rooms. The producer arrived, packet already half-read, his face carried the terror of uninsured liability. We were told everything was cleared through Valiant Vine. He said, it wasn't. I said, my company's materials cannot be used, my personal story cannot be used, my property leaves now. Serena stepped off the set. Your personal story, you mean being married to a man who outgrew you, Adrian said. Serena, she ignored him. You don't own inspiration, Clara. No, but I own the invoices. I took out my phone and opened the email from the florist, the rental vendor, the call sheet, the brand deck showing the orchard house as partner, and a page lifted almost word for word from a reflection I had once written about caregiving dinners after grief. I read one line aloud. Care begins before anyone sits down at the table. Serena's face did not change, Adrian's did. He remembered that line. I had written it after my father died in a private essay on the Orchard House website. Adrian had called it beautiful, then he had used it to sell dinners with another woman. You took that? I asked him. He swallowed. The team pulled references. Your team pulled my grief. The room became still. The producer turned to Adrian. We need to pause. Serena snapped. No, we don't. This is a marital tantrum. The producer looked at the legal packet again. We are pausing. Lights began clicking off one by one. The set dimmed around Serena until she stood in half shadow wearing borrowed diamonds and rage. Adrian followed me as staff began packing. Clara, I didn't know that line was in the deck. You built a career on not knowing what benefited you. He looked stricken. I did not stop at the freight elevator. Serena caught up. You think this makes you powerful? She asked. I turned. No, it makes me unavailable. Her laugh was brittle. Adrian will resent you forever. Maybe, but he'll have to do it on his own card. Her face flushed, then she made one more mistake. At least he wanted to make me a partner, she said, not a bookkeeper. Adrian's head lifted sharply behind her. I looked at him. A partner, I said. Serena realized too late. Adrian stared at her. I never promised that. She turned. You said after the divorce. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. This time I left them to finish the scene without me. The necklace appeared online under a private auction preview 5 days later. Nadia found it. She burst into my office holding her laptop like it was evidence in a murder trial. Tell me I'm wrong, she said. I turned the screen. Private collector preview. Platinum graduated diamond necklace. Approximate retail value $180,000. Seller confidential. Condition unworn except at one private event. The photograph had been cropped, but not well enough. The clasp angle matched Jonah's file. The center stone's tiny inclusion pattern looked familiar from the appraisal photo. The woman had tried to sell a necklace she had returned, not the physical original. As we later learned, something worse, she had submitted the appraisal documents and claim of ownership to secure an advance from the auction broker before returning the necklace to Diamond Row. She planned to argue confusion if caught, or maybe she assumed no one would catch her because people like Serena often mistake other people's restraint for stupidity. I sent the listing to Mara within an hour. She had Jonah on the phone. Yes, he said after reviewing the preview. That is the Diamond Row appraisal photograph. It should not have been provided for sale representation. The necklace remains in our vault pending payment resolution. Who had access to the appraisal packet? Mara asked. Mr. Vale received a digital copy. Ms. Blythe was copied at his request. I closed my eyes. Adrian again, always opening doors and acting surprised when someone walked through them. Mara filed a notice of ownership dispute with the auction house. Jonah sent a statement. The listing disappeared by evening at 8:12 p.m. Adrian called. I answered because I wanted to hear what truth sounded like when it finally cornered him. Did you know she listed it? He asked. Yes. His breath came hard through the phone. She said it was a mistake. Was it? No. Good, at least he had located reality. She asked for an advance. He said, using the appraisal, she told them the necklace was hers and the paperwork was delayed because of a divorce. That was creative. Don't what? Don't sound like that. Accurate. like you're already gone. I looked around my office, red tabs still marked the wall, though fewer now. Each resolved issue came down, each remaining one stayed. The wall had become a map out. I am already gone, I said. He was quiet for a long moment. I confronted her, he said. She said I owed her, she said I promised her a life. Did you? I promised things when I was angry, at me, at feeling small. There it was, the most honest version of him, yet I waited. He continued, voice raw. When I was with you, I always knew what I lacked. You had the house, the credit, the systems, the calm. You could look at a disaster and build a spreadsheet. I hated needing that, so you found someone who made needing feel romantic. He gave a broken laugh. Yes, the confession did not heal anything, but it named the machine. Serena had not stolen a happy husband. Adrian had carried his resentment to her like an offering. She had polished it, worn it, and tried to auction it. I wanted to feel like the man buying the necklace, he said, not the man whose wife could pay for it. My chest tightened. That was the wound under his arrogance. Not an excuse, never an excuse, but a wound with teeth. And did you? I asked. For about 10 minutes, I thought of the ballroom, the applause, the clasp at her neck, me on the platform with the bill. Those 10 minutes were expensive. I know, no, you're starting to know. He inhaled. Clara, I am sorry. I believe you. A desperate hope moved through the silence. I killed it before it could become another bill. I'm still divorcing you. His breath broke. I know, he whispered, but he did not know, not fully. Men like Adrian often treated divorce as a storm, terrible, destructive. But temporary if they waited long enough or performed regret beautifully enough. He did not yet understand that mine was not weather, it was architecture. The next morning, Mara filed the formal petition. Dissolution of marriage, enforcement of prenuptial agreement, separation of personal and business assets, demand for reimbursement of unauthorized expenditures, injunction against use of Bellamy Table, Orchard House, or Clara Bellamavale materials in Valley and Vine promotions, notice regarding disputed luxury item and associated fraud. When I signed, my hand did not shake. That afternoon, I went to Diamond Row one last time. The necklace sat in a velvet tray under Jonah's careful supervision. Without Serena's throat, without candlelight, without Adrian's speech, it looked like what it was: carbon, metal, debt. What will happen to it? I asked. Given the dispute and non-payment, Diamond Row will retain possession and void the transaction unless a court orders otherwise. Jonah said. Good. He hesitated. Ms. Bellamavale, for what it's worth, I am sorry. I looked at him. I should have required primary confirmation before delivery, he said. We became too comfortable with Mr. Vale's assumptions. That sentence stayed with me, too comfortable with his assumptions. So had I? Divorce mediation took place on a rainy Tuesday in a downtown office where every wall was painted a color that apologized for existing. Adrian arrived first. I saw him through the glass before he saw me. He sat with his elbows on his knees. Hands clasped, head lowered, no phone, no performance, no Serena. He looked like a man waiting for a sentence he had already heard but still hoped could be reduced. Evelyn sat beside him. That annoyed me until I noticed her hands. They were folded tightly around a tissue. She looked older than she had at the townhouse dinner. Mara touched my elbow. Ready? Yes, readiness, I had learned, did not mean absence of pain. It meant pain no longer had voting rights. The mediator, a woman named Celeste Grant, began. With assets, the prenup was clear. The Orchard House remained mine, Bellamy Table remained mine, my grandmother's trust remained separate, Adrian's restaurant interests remained his, along with their debt, except where my accounts had been used without authorization. Adrian's attorney attempted a soft argument. Mr. Vale contributed substantially to the growth of Orchard House as a brand through his culinary reputation. Mara slid over revenue reports from before and after Valley and Vine's involvement. In fact, she said, Orchard House revenue declined during the years Ms. Bellamavale diverted time and credit support to Mr. Vale's ventures. I felt Adrian look at me. I did not return it. Then came the debts. The room grew colder. Unauthorized charges, Serena's expenses, jewelry deposit, styling invoices, hotel stays, brand consultant retainers, supplier payments from Bellamy accounts, family expenses coded as business development. Adrian's attorney said, many of these charges were made during the marriage and arguably benefited the marital lifestyle. Mara looked at him over her glasses. Please explain how Ms. Blythe's hotel suite benefited the marital lifestyle. The mediator's pen stopped, Adrian's attorney coughed, Evelyn closed her eyes. Adrian said quietly, "It didn't." Everyone turned. His attorney whispered, "Adrian." He shook his head. "No, it didn't." That was the first time he had contradicted someone on his side. To tell the truth, it changed nothing legally, but I noticed the mediator asked whether we could agree to reimbursement terms. Adrian accepted most without argument. His attorney looked increasingly miserable. Evelyn looked as if she were watching family silver melt. Then came the orchard house. Adrian leaned forward. "I'm not contesting ownership." His attorney stiffened. "We discussed." "I'm not." Adrian said. The room quieted. He looked at me then. "I called it ours because I wanted it to be true," he said. "But it was never mine." My throat tightened unexpectedly. There are truths that arrive too late and still hurt because they would have mattered so much earlier. "Thank you," I said. Evelyn made a small sound. The mediator moved on. Finally, conduct and public statements. Mara requested a non-disparagement clause limited by a truth and legal proceedings exception. Adrian agreed. We requested he stop using my personal essays, caregiving language, and family venue images. He agreed. We requested repayment for the necklace deposit if Diamond Row did not fully reverse it. He agreed. Then Evelyn spoke. "What about the family transfers?" Mara looked at her. "They are terminated." Evelyn's chin lifted. "Some of those were arrangements made in good faith." I looked at her. "No, they were arrangements made in my silence." She flushed. Adrian turned to his mother. "Let it go." Evelyn stared at him. "This family is being dismantled because you had a foolish episode with a foolish woman." "No," he said. The room went still. Adrian's face was pale, but his voice did not shake. "This family is being exposed because we let Clara carry things and called it love." Evelyn recoiled as if he had betrayed her. I looked down at my hands. He was late, so late. But truth had finally entered the room, and for 1 second everyone had to breathe the same air as it. The mediator called a break. I went to the hallway. Adrian followed, stopping several feet away. "May I speak?" he asked. "You may speak." A sad smile crossed his mouth. "That sounds like something Mara taught you." "No, that one is mine." He nodded. "I ended things with Serena." "I know." His eyes lifted. "You do." She sent me 3 messages telling me I destroyed a once-in-a-lifetime connection. He winced. "I'm sorry." "She's consistent." "I thought I loved her," he said. "Or I thought she saw me. I don't know. I think she saw the version of me I was trying to sell." "That's what you paid her to see." He accepted that. "What did I see?" he asked quietly. I understood the question. It was not about Serena. I thought of our early years, Adrian cooking pasta in a kitchen too small for his confidence, Adrian dancing with me in socks after signing the first lease, Adrian crying when my grandmother died, holding my hand at the funeral, Adrian telling me I made him brave. "You saw someone who would build a floor under you." I said. "Then you forgot floors are not servants." His eyes filled. "I don't know who I am without you," he said. "That's your work now. Can you ever forgive me?" I looked through the rain-streaked window at the city below. Forgiveness used to feel like the final proof of goodness. If I forgave, I was generous. If I forgave, I was mature. If I forgave, the pain had meaning. Now it felt like a room I did not need to enter just because someone else was knocking. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I know forgiveness would not mean access." He nodded once, tears spilling now. "I'll sign," he said. "Good." He laughed through the tears, barely. "Everyone keeps saying that word around disaster. It means the door is where it should be." He looked at me for a long time, then he went back into the conference room. The last public lie happened at the Harrington Food Trust Gala. I was not supposed to attend. The gala was one of the largest charity events in the city's culinary circle. Chefs, donors, restaurant owners, socialites, critics, and people who like to say philanthropy while drinking champagne. Adrian had been listed as a featured speaker months before everything broke. I assumed he would withdraw. He did not. Instead, 2 days before the gala, the program went live. Adrian Vale, founder of Valiant Vine. Topic: Building community through resilience. Resilience. I stared at the word until it blurred. Then Nadia sent me a screenshot from the draft press notes. Following a painful personal season, Adrian Vale speaks about rebuilding, accountability, and the importance of community support. Valiant Vine continues its mission with the support of longtime partners. Longtime partners, that was me, blurred into a concept again. My money without my name, my labor without my consent, my departure turned into his resilience. Mara said we could send a cease and desist. I said no, the Harrington Gala was being held at the Orchard House. That was the detail Adrian forgot because forgetting my ownership had become muscle memory. My staff called me that afternoon. Clara, our events director, said carefully, Valiant Vine's team just asked to add a tribute slide thanking the Vale family and Orchard House for standing with Adrian. I closed my eyes. There are moments when life offers a person the same test in a new costume. The anniversary party had been his room, the gala was mine. Approve the slide, I said. My director paused. Are you sure? Yes, and reserve 5 minutes for me after his remarks. I wore black to the gala, not morning black, working black, the kind of dress with pockets, because power should have somewhere to put keys. The Orchard House glowed that night, apple branches wrapped in tiny lights, long tables under a clear tent, white linens, copper flatware, candles in hurricane glass. My grandmother's portrait hung in the entry, watching everyone with the faint suspicion she reserved for men who over-explained wine. Guests arrived in waves, whispers followed me, but differently now, not pity, curiosity, some admiration, some hunger for spectacle. People are rarely pure in their attention. Adrian arrived with Evelyn, not Serena. Evelyn looked diminished, but perfectly dressed. Adrian looked at the Orchard House like a man returning to a church after committing a sin there. You look well, he said when he reached me. I am working, Clara, Adrian. He lowered his voice. I didn't know about the tribute slide until yesterday. PR added it. And you removed it. He looked away. There was the answer. You still let other people use my name when it steadies you. I said. His face tightened. I was going to thank you. After calling me a long-time partner, I planned to say more, then say it accurately. Before he could respond, a board member approached, bright and unaware. Clara, the venue is extraordinary. Adrian, we're ready for you in 5. Adrian looked at me once more. This time, I saw something like dread. Good. Dinner passed with practiced elegance. I checked the kitchen, adjusted a seating issue, handled a wine shortage, and smiled when donors complimented the pear tart. Work steadied me. This was my room, my staff, my tables, my grandmother's orchard beyond the tent, dark and patient. Then Adrian took the stage. He began well. He thanked the trust. He spoke about food insecurity. He admitted that restaurants often confuse luxury with nourishment. He sounded thoughtful, humbled. For a few minutes, I saw the man he might become if he stopped making women pay for his reflection. Then the slide appeared behind him. Thank you to the Vale family and Orchard House for standing behind resilience. A photograph filled the screen. Adrian and me from 3 years earlier, standing in front of the Orchard House doors, my face turned toward him, smiling, his hand at my waist. The room softened. I did not. Adrian looked at the screen and faltered. He had a choice. He could correct it. He could say, this image is being used without Clara's permission. Orchard House is hers. She did not stand behind me. I stood on what she built. Instead, he said, I have been blessed by people who believed in me even when I did not deserve it. Applause began. I walked to the stage. The applause thinned as people realized I was not part of the program they expected. Adrian saw me and went still. I took the second microphone. The board chair looked alarmed. My events director looked calm. She had been told. I faced the room. Good evening, I'm Clara Bellamivale, owner of the Orchard House. A murmur. I smiled politely. I want to clarify one thing before the evening continues. The Orchard House is not a Vale family property. It was inherited from my grandmother, protected by trust, and operated by Bellamy Table. Its use tonight is a venue partnership with the Harrington Food Trust, not an endorsement of Adrian Vale's personal or business conduct. The room froze. Adrian closed his eyes. I continued. The photograph behind us was not approved for this tribute slide. The phrase standing behind resilience is inaccurate. I did not stand behind what harmed me. I funded, covered, repaired, explained, and finally stopped. No one breathed. I took my wedding ring from my pocket. I had brought it in a small velvet pouch. Not for drama, for completion. I placed it on the podium beside the printed diamond row invoice, the one I had kept from the anniversary party. This ring came off the night my husband gave another woman a diamond necklace and handed me the bill. This invoice is the last thing I will ever pay for him. A sharp sound came from Evelyn's table. Adrian looked at the ring, then at me. His face broke open, not performatively, quietly, completely. "I'm sorry," he said into the microphone. The room heard it. "I'm sorry," he repeated. "Clara built the floor under my life, and I called it support until she stopped letting me stand on it. I used her money, I used her work, I humiliated her. The orchard house is hers. The success I pretended was mine was held together by her." The confession stunned me. It also changed nothing. A board member stood near the side, whispering urgently into a phone. A food writer typed. Niles stared at his plate. Evelyn covered her face. Adrian turned to the audience. "I am stepping down from tonight's speaker role and from Valiant Vine's leadership pending restructuring," he said. "The trust deserves better than my story." Then he stepped back from the microphone. For a moment the room was silent. Then I spoke. "The Harrington Food Trust still deserves your donations. Dinner will continue in 10 minutes. That broke the spell. Practical, yes, but this time practical saved the right thing. Backstage, Adrian found me near the service corridor. He was crying. "I told the truth," he said. "I heard." "Does it matter?" "Yes." Hope flickered. "I met it directly. It matters because truth matters. It does not reopen the marriage." The hope died. He nodded as if he had expected the blow and still felt it. "I don't know what I am without you," he said again. This time I answered differently. "Then don't build yourself out of another woman's life." He pressed both hands over his face. "I left him there in my house, with no bill for me to pay." The divorce was finalized on a clear morning in April. No rain, no thunder, no cinematic storm pressing against the courthouse windows, just pale sunlight, a metal detector, and a clerk who mispronounced Bellamy until I corrected her. Adrian arrived alone. He looked thinner but steadier. He wore a grey suit I had not chosen. The tie was slightly wrong. A year earlier, I would have fixed it automatically. My fingers did not move. Mara sat beside me. Adrian's attorney sat beside him. Evelyn was not there. Serena was not there. The absence of audience felt merciful. The judge reviewed the agreement. The orchard house remained mine. Bellamy table remained mine. My trust remained mine. Adrian assumed responsibility for Valiant Vine debts except the documented reimbursements owed to me. He repaid the Diamond Row deposit after selling his remaining vintage wine collection. The necklace transaction was voided. Serena faced a civil claim from the auction broker and a separate demand from Diamond Row for misuse of appraisal materials. She settled quietly and disappeared to another city with a new bio about radical rebirth. Adrian agreed never to use my name, images, writing, venue, credit, or business materials in promotion. The Vale family transfers ended permanently. The authorized user accounts were closed. His card would never again decline because of a boundary I had to set. It would stand or fail on his own money. That mattered to me more than I expected. The judge asked if both parties entered the agreement voluntarily. "I do," Adrian said. "I do," I said. The phrase echoed strangely. 7 years earlier, those same 2 words had built a marriage. Now they released me from it. The judge signed just like that. I was Clara Bellamy again, not because I erased the years, because I chose which name carried me forward. Outside the courtroom, Adrian stopped beside me. "Clara." I turned. He held something in his hand, a small white envelope. "What is that?" "Repayment schedule confirmation. The first transfer cleared this morning." "Thank you." He gave a sad smile. "You don't need to thank me for paying what I owe." "No," I said, "I don't." A silence settled. He looked toward the courthouse doors. "I'm closing Valiant Vine for restructuring." "I heard. I sold the apartment." "I heard that too. Mother is furious." "I believe it." He laughed softly, without humor. "She asked me whether I was going to let you walk away with everything. I waited. I told her you weren't walking away with everything. You were walking away with what was yours, that landed somewhere tender." "Good," I said. He smiled at the word. Then his eyes filled. "I keep thinking about the card," he said. "That morning at the hotel I was angry at first, humiliated. Serena was furious. The waiter looked embarrassed for me, and all I could think was, Clara will fix it. Even after everything, my first instinct was still that you would fix it. That's why I couldn't." "I know." He looked at me carefully. "I am sorry for making you the bank of my ego." The sentence was so precise that I knew someone, maybe a therapist, had helped him reach it. I was glad. I was also unmoved from my decision. "I hope you keep learning," I said. "I will, for yourself." He nodded. This time when we parted he did not ask for a hug. He did not reach for my hand. He did not say he loved me as if love were a rope I had to catch. He stepped back and let me pass. That was the kindest thing he had done in months. I walked out into sunlight. Nadia waited on the courthouse steps with coffee in a paper bag. Cinnamon roll, she asked, obviously. She handed it over. How do you feel? I considered lying, saying free, strong, reborn, all the clean words people like in endings. Instead I said, hungry. Nadia grinned. That's a start. It was. A week later, I hosted the first Bellamy table dinner after the divorce. Not at a hotel, not for investors, not for Adrian's brand at the Orchard House. The theme was simple: morning food at night, citrus salad, soft rolls, herbed eggs, apple cake, coffee served in mismatched cups from my grandmother's collection. No speeches, no tribute slides. No one else's dream disguised as my duty. Before guests arrived, I walked through the dining room alone. The tables were set with linen I owned, flowers I approved, candles paid from an account no one else could access. My grandmother's portrait watched from the entry. I imagined her saying, finally, in my office. I opened the bottom drawer. Inside was a small box. My wedding ring rested there beside the copy of the Diamond Row invoice and the bank notice confirming authorized user privileges suspended. For a long time, I had thought keeping those things meant I was not moving on. Now I understood. Records are not always chains, sometimes they are maps showing the road out. I added one more paper, the final divorce decree, then I closed the drawer. Outside, Nadia called. First guests are here. I'm coming. As I stepped into the hall, my phone buzzed with a message from Theo Harris, the Atlas Club manager. Theo, I heard everything is finalized. For what it's worth, I still remember how calm you were that night. I looked at the message. Calm. People often mistake calm for lack of feeling. They do not see the work inside it, the grip on the glass, the breath held behind the teeth, the decision forming quietly while everyone waits for a scene. I typed back, me, I remember who gave me the receipt. Theo. Anytime I put the phone away, the first guests entered laughing, shaking rain from their coats, the house filled with warmth, not the staged kind, not the kind purchased for photographs, real warmth, kitchen heat, human noise, butter, coffee, apples. During dessert, a young woman approached me near the sideboard. I hope this isn't strange, she said. But I heard a little of what happened with your ex-husband. My fiancé keeps putting business expenses on my card because his credit is bad, and he says I'm unsupportive when I ask questions. The room seemed to quiet around me, though it had not. I looked at her bare, anxious face and saw myself before the necklace, before the invoice, before the card declined, before I learned that love without boundaries can become a payment plan for someone else's ego. Ask questions, I said. Get statements, keep copies, and never let anyone call your caution a lack of love. Her eyes filled. Thank you, she whispered after she walked away. I stood by the window and looked out at the orchard. Morning would come in a few hours. Not the morning Adrian's card declined, not the morning my marriage began to fall in public. A different morning, mine. I had once believed the worst thing a husband could do was give another woman a necklace. I was wrong. The worst thing was teaching his wife that her value was in paying for it. So I stopped paying, I stopped explaining, I stopped standing beside a man who needed my money hidden and my pain quiet, and when the bill came due, I let him hold it.